All right, today we're talking with Air Force veteran Michael Goslin. He's the co-founder of Mill Kid Mail Kit. Now, Mill Kid Mail Kit is a pen pal program for military children, and it aims to encourage and foster international friendship for military children through the art of letter writing. Letter writing is almost a lost art at this point. So this sounds like pretty cool what you guys are doing. We got a lot of cool things to talk about. But before we do that, take us back and tell us what you did for in the Air Force, because you actually ended up retiring from the Air Force.
I did. So I started out in 2001 before 9/11. I joined because I thought, want to serve my country. My dad was in the Air Force. He did 20 years. My grandfather was in the Air Force. He did 20 years. So I'm third gen Air Force. Uh, I've been all over the world. I've been to the Asian theater. I've been to Europe. I've been here in the States. And I've seen a lot of amazing cultures. I was a first started out with tech control, which is pretty much IT.
Mhm.
Then I went and I did military postal for a while. So I got to work in the post office, which is kind of neat with a product we're doing now because it kind of relates to that.
Yeah.
And then when we left Europe, we came back to the States after I had met and married my wife,
Mm.
Brunella. Um, we went to Minot, North Dakota, and I went back to communications, so back into the IT world.
Mhm.
And then I retired in June of this year.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
So,
Yeah, I will never begrudge the Air Force anything because I've had an awesome career. I've done awesome things, been awesome places. I'm sure there's many people in the world that probably haven't even left their hometown, and I've got to experience the world.
oh yeah, that's awesome. Well, good on you. So you're still kind of going through your transition at this point because you just got out of the Air Force. Talk a little bit about leading up to your retirement or any experiences, good, bad, or ugly, as far as the transition process has been for you.
Okay. So about a year and a half before my actual retirement, I started thinking about, well, if I don't make E7 this year,
Hmm.
what am I going to do with my life? I could do another 2 years and reach my higher tenure of 22 years, or we could start planning as a family what we want to do.
Hmm.
And I remember a lot of my younger troops at previous bases doing the DoD Skill Bridge program. So I looked into that, and I actually ended up doing it. So we moved from Syracuse, New York, down to Melbourne, Florida, where I did a DoD Skill Bridge program with Vets to PM to earn my PMP and well, I haven't earned my PMP yet, but I'm working on that. I'm still studying. But I
Project
did get my
management, right? Project management.
project management
Huh.
for as a project management professional, and I also I did get my professional Scrum Master certification. So I've got like agile project management as well as traditional like waterfall project management.
Uh-huh.
And my plan was to use it to help my wife run her company, which is the Military Editor Agency.
Okay.
Um, and then that kind of morphed into what we're doing now with Mill Kid Mail Kit. She came to me one day and was like, "Hey, we should do this." And I'll talk more about that in a bit. But as far as the transition goes, we prepared for like a year and a half out, putting money aside, planning on where we wanted to be,
Mhm.
going to transition assistance program, all that fun stuff. And of course, then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And COVID hit at the beginning of my starting to plan. So that kind of threw a wrench in things because I was at a base in New York that was a guard base as an active duty member. So they didn't really have a huge TAP program. So I ended up going out to Hanscom in Massachusetts and one of the probably the last in-person TAP classes they probably had, and did it out there and learned a lot. I'm glad I went.
Hmm.
I signed up for Boots to Business. I ended up doing that online,
Great.
and that was helpful in knowing how a business was set up because I have no business experience. I have project management experience,
Hmm.
but no actual running a business. In the military, we're designed to spend money, not make money necessarily.
Exactly.
um, but through my internship, which was part of my transition program, I learned ways in which I could translate that into not necessarily making money, but saving money. So having that fiduciary responsibility that a lot of transitioning military members might not see,
Hmm.
which has been super helpful. And again, the company I was with, they were phenomenal in helping me understand not just the project management side, but I got to know the owner of the company really well, Eric Wright, and he helped me see how the actual business worked, which was great. Um, and during this whole process, they were like super helpful with my VA claim. I'm trying to do the benefits delivery of discharge.
Uh-huh.
Unfortunately, again, COVID has kind of thrown a wrench in that too. The
Yeah.
wait times are not great.
Oh yeah, I can only imagine.
Um, yeah, they contracted out all the compensation and pension claims, the exams, but now the contractor's backed up. So the very thing they put in place to help veterans speed up the process is now like the linchpin and not moving forward.
Yeah. Hey, can you explain a little bit what the Skill Bridge program is and how somebody transitioning out might get involved in that?
Yeah, definitely. So there's a website, if you Google DoD Skill Bridge, what it is you have, and each service is slightly different, but it's an overall DoD program that lets you do like an internship with a company 6 months out of your transition window, whether you're separating or retiring,
Mhm.
and you still get paid whatever rank you are. You get your BAH for wherever you are if you decide to relocate. There are companies that let you work remote, and so what it is, it lets you get like that civilian experience. And at the end, the company has to offer you an interview. Now, whether they hire you or not, that's up to them
Mhm.
based on the interview. But it's a fantastic program. It lets people like me, for example, 20 years in, last time I did any kind of civilian work, was I was 18. I filled out an actual application to work, and
Huh.
it's a much different world now than it was then.
Yeah. So the Skill Bridge program, you actually go with a specific company. You're not like actually going to school to get your PMP or something like that. It's although that could end up being part of it, part of why you're working there. But will they actually like pay to PCS you there, or are you on your own as far as moving?
So for my situation, because I was retiring, what I did was I did all my final out processing beforehand, and in that, I projected my how many days of terminal leave I was going to take, and then my DoD Skill Bridge program was actually permissive TDY.
Mm.
So I did all my final out before my permissive TDY started, and then I rolled in from my permissive TDY into my terminal leave.
Wow.
So
Hey,
I could have started in.
yeah.
Go ahead.
How long has that program been around? That's, I mean,
It's, I think, 5 or 6 years now. It's just
okay.
there's not a lot of traction on it, and it's starting to build momentum. The
Mhm.
big thing, at least for the Air Force, was you have to have your commander's approval, and there's a lot of folks in leadership. I lucked out; my leadership was super awesome about the whole thing, but I've heard stories of other people where their leaders are like, "We can't afford to lose you,"
Yeah.
and it's like they're getting out in 6 months. You're going to lose them anyway.
Hmm.
And do you want somebody that's got a positive attitude of, man, my whatever military branch was so awesome, they let me do this and help prepare me for being Mr. or Mrs. So and so, versus, oh man, I hate the military. They treated me like garbage, and they never let me do anything. They never really cared about me.
Yeah.
For me, I think of it as like back end recruiting. If you have a guy coming out or gal coming out and saying, man, the service was so awesome to me, even though they were losing me, they still were able to invest in me and help me as a person in my future. And I think that's where the DoD Skill Bridge program has it right. Now, if more commanders would get on board, I think that'd be even better, and realize that, I'd rather have somebody leave on a positive note than a sour note in their mouth, especially after doing what we do as military members, and, giving that sacrifice of time and everything else up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Um, so let's talk about um Meal Kid Mail Kit. Where'd the idea come from originally, and what kind of skills were involved, and what's the learning process in starting up your business?
Well, for the product came to be, you know, moving, PCSing, and especially during COVID has been like super hard on our kids, especially our 9-year-old. He has ADHD. He's dyslexic, and just the whole moving around is just been really hard because we went from being in a normal school for half a year, where he started school fresh, to, okay, now you're in online school, but we're not really sure how it's working yet because nobody's done this before. It's all brand new.
Right.
To the next year was, okay, we kind of have a handle on this, so we're going to do online school and we're going to try to focus on the kids as much as we can. And he had really great teachers in New York when we started this. And then throw in a PCS, final PCS or retirement PCS
Mhm.
down to Florida, where we went from having one teacher specifically for an online class to the teacher's not only doing the online class, but she's also got the other half of her class in school with her. And it was crazy. So my son was like, I really miss all my friends. I wish, I could say goodbye to them. I didn't even get to see them.
Mhm.
And so my wife one night, she woke me up and she's like, I have this awesome idea. We should start a pen pal program for military kids. And it just kind of has morphed from there. And, I'm a military brat myself. Like I said, my dad did 20 years.
Yeah.
And we lucked out that we never went overseas or anything. But my experience from being in the military going overseas, I can only imagine how stressful that is for a kid. And it's been really awesome to have our kids write to other kids that have gone through the same things. It's, we always talk about military resiliency and how the military member needs to be resilient and the spouses need to be resilient. But what about the kids?
Right.
We don't focus on them as much as maybe we ought to. And being able to relate to somebody and not just, on the computer but to have to write a handwritten letter and take that time, put thought into what you're going to write down because you want it to look nice. And it's awesome because our son, for example, he hates writing, hated reading.
Yeah.
But when we got him involved with this, like he was taking his time to write nicely. His handwriting has improved dramatically from when we started this program. And if he doesn't know how to spell a word, he doesn't just like spell it randomly or phonetically. He asks us, how do I spell this word, Dad? I'm like, all right, well, just how you spell it. And his letters look really nice when he's writing them because, he wants to make a good impression on the people he's writing to. And he loves it. Now, as far as the business aspect in us and learning about it, again, I've never run a business before. My wife has run her editing business, but that's a service-based service-based business
Mhm.
versus a product-based business, which is a whole separate ballgame.
Right.
Because you don't have to have stock of anything. You're not trying to find material at low cost. So for me, that's been the biggest learning curve is trying to find manufacturers that one are here in America, because I don't want to outsource. I'm all about, and we're all about supporting, local economy as much as possible. So finding companies here within the US that we can get a good quality product for a decent price, because, you're going to have to buy in bulk because you want that wholesale price to be able to make some kind of profit. Because you can't, as much as we'd like to do this for free, everything comes down to the dollar, but we want to still make it affordable for our military families as well.
Right.
Being a military family, we know, you got a budget. So there's that. Taxes, figuring out, which taxes are applicable for you.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
business in its. Oh, go ahead.
I was just hold that thought, Michael. We're going to take a quick break for a sponsor break, and we'll be right back. All right, we're back talking with Air Force veteran Michael Goslin, who's the co-founder of Meal Kid Mail Kit. So, Michael, what's the ultimate goal of Meal Kid Mail Kit?
Well, Joe, one thing that we'd love to do with Meal Kid Mail Kit is grow it beyond just the military kid pen pal program, because while that's where we're starting and it's an awesome starting point to help kids build that resiliency through the art of handwriting. We'd also like to eventually get into like the DoD schools overseas. We'd like to get into all the service, like family readiness centers, because we think this product could also help, kids talk to their parents who are deployed. It's a fun way to to keep in touch with your family. I remember as a kid growing up, my dad was in Korea, and getting letters from him while he was there was always something to look forward to. It was
Mhm.
that delayed gratification of, oh man, I wonder if my dad wrote me a letter, and getting that letter in the mail and being like, oh, this is so cool, and writing back to him.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with just having a pen pal. It's a lot of fun. We've got an amazing artist on board with us, Valerio Mazzoli. He's a Disney creator, and he's a brilliant illustrator. He worked at Disneyland Tokyo, Disneyland Paris, Disney World, Disneyland California.
Oh,
He's done a lot of the attractions there. In fact, Spaceship Earth at Disney World, he helped work on that in Epcot.
oh,
So it's really cool to like, we go to Disney all the time, so we see all these things he's worked on, and it's nice to know that we've got a family friend now
yeah.
that's done these things.
Oh, that's incredible.
And he's been really awesome with us. We're creating a custom stationery for Mill Kid Mail Kit, and it's all about the inclusivity. Because again, being a military family, we've been all over the world and we've experienced different cultures, and we want to make sure that we help other kids see that too. And
Hmm.
we want everybody to feel included with this, and not just one group of people. So inclusivity is something also we're trying to really push with this, because we're all human when it comes down to it, and that's all that really matters.
Absolutely. So, what are some of the things that we'll find in the Mill Kid Mail Kit when we receive our package?
So depending on, we're going to have a couple different options. The very simplest one is just going to be a basic list of pen pals. But if you want the custom stationery and whatnot, it's going to come with custom stationery printed on quality paper. It's going to come with a free pen. It's got 4 colors that the kids seem to really love. It's going to come with the envelopes. The premium packages will come with some postage paid already. And we're going to just kind of grow from there.
Yeah, and with some of the kids that have beta tested your program and that up to this point, what would have been the results? Like, are our kids kind of slow to adopt to this idea, or is it something like unique that they've never really done? Because people don't really write letters anymore. So how does that work?
So far, our feedback has been super positive. The the kids love it because it's something new. It's like going back in time and playing an Atari after playing, VR games nowadays. It's like, oh, this is neat. I can't believe you used to do this. My son would call it old timey.
Yeah.
He, we're actually in Italy right now visiting some family, and they have phones here that they're the old dial phones where you
Yeah.
pull the number back and then it clicks back. He's like, wow, you guys used to use these? And it's like we get that same feeling from the kids. They're like, wow, you guys used to write letters. You know, you didn't just FaceTime with people. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is how we communicated before the internet
Yeah.
and before
And
telephones and
like
stuff even.
a lot of schools, they don't even teach cursive writing anymore.
Exactly. And that's one thing too. It's helped. We have been teaching our son and our daughter. Our daughter is a little less as much because she's only 5, but our son, he's 9 and he knows cursive and
Uh,
he reads cursive really well. And that's another benefit of this is, not learning how to handwrite in school, you forget how to read it. And so the more you're exposed to other people's handwriting, the better off you are in understanding just the written word as it's actually handwritten.
yeah. And another interesting thing that I mean, when they quit teaching cursive in schools, I was like, well, it's unfortunate. I didn't really think about the secondary, tertiary effects of it. But
Exactly.
think about, like, our kids weren't taught cursive writing in school. Well, think about their signature when they sign something officially. If they don't write in cursive, then they basically just print their name and that's their signature. Like, it's completely gotten rid of people
Exactly.
fancy signatures.
Yep.
So, um, now when you get your Mill Kid Mail Kit, do you help people in any way? Like, if you get your kit, like, do you help connect people, like other people that are
We
looking
do.
for pen pals? And how does the connection process works as decide who they're going to start writing to?
So currently on our website, milkidmailkit.com, we have a sign up where the parents will help their child sign up, and it includes their interests, their general age. We're not asking any PII with the exception of the mailing address because we kind of need that to mail letters. But we're not selling anybody's information to anybody. We're parents too.
Mm.
We don't want to get involved in that kind of mess. I'm not into making money that way.
Right.
So it's all about keeping the information safe first and foremost. But then my wife and I, at the moment, we're matching kids by what their interests are. For example, our son loves space, and there was another young kid that he loves space too. So bam, there's a match right there.
Yeah.
My daughter loves to sing and dance, so we hooked her up with somebody that likes to sing and dance as well, and it just goes from there. We try to keep around the same age range, but also if one kid's, we know they're moving to Japan and another kid's lived in Japan, we'll kind of match them up as well, because the hope is that the kid that's been to Japan will be like, oh hey, so and so, yeah, these are the best places to go, grab an ice cream, or the best beaches to hang out at, or hey, stay away from this place because this is the shady part of town.
Yeah.
Because our age range is between 4 and 17, so you've got teenagers that can write each other, and then also like the younger kids, they're probably more likely draw pictures and stuff. That's what our daughter did. She doesn't quite know how to form sentences quite yet in writing, but we're working on it.
Yeah. Okay. So if somebody's interested in getting started, then say the website address again.
Milkidmailkit.com.
Okay. And then what are some of the price points for the kits?
Right now, the price points are still kind of being worked out since we're just ending our beta testing, and we've just found another supplier. So we've got to go through and get our price points to where we can get a more military friendly budget. And that was our big thing, like I mentioned earlier, was, that was a big hurdle to overcome, was not just to go to Staples and print the stuff out. You literally have to find somebody on the wholesale side. And if you don't have experience in that, that can be a difficult realm to navigate.
Right.
But luckily we found a good quality printer, again, here in the US, that we're going to be going through. And so now we can lower our price point a bit from what it was previously.
Okay. Awesome. Well,
but that will be coming out here in the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay, great. So I think by the time this episode releases, you'll have those price points all established. So
definitely
jump on the website and get started. So Michael, if you're talking to somebody that's in the military going through a transition, looking to start their own business, they got a great idea. What kind of recommendations would you have for them? What comes to mind?
Plan. Check out your market, see what other people are doing. And if you want to be competitive, you have to be able to jump in, and it's a learning process no matter how much experience you have. Another thing I will say is something that we've learned is your social media presence is hugely important. My wife and I are learning that every day. I'm the guy that doesn't have a Facebook page personally, but we've got one for our website, of course. Right. So that's been a huge learning curve for me, is the social media as well, because you want to have a following, you want to have your brand out there so people know it and see it and have good positive feedback from the people you're trying to serve.
Yeah, that's awesome. One last question. You went through the Boots to Business program, you said, in part of your transition process, which is a program through the military, but it's actually sponsored by the SBA, Small Business Administration. Yep. Can you touch on that real quick as we wrap things up, and how valuable that was for you?
Definitely. It definitely taught me some lessons in whether I wanted to be in business for myself or not, because it's not as simple as just, hey, I've got this great idea for a product. There's a lot that goes into it. Again, market research, funding. Funding's a big one too. You may have to take out a loan to do the things you want to do. Otherwise, you're going to start dipping into your personal savings, and you have to be willing to do that if you want to keep going. Nobody's going to come out to you and just hand you money and say, hey, you've got a great idea, we'll fund it.
Yeah.
As much as we would love that.
Right. People aren't going to be throwing money at you for your idea.
No, they aren't.
Yep. Yeah,
But
that's
if you've got a good product and you believe in it, I really think that if you're passionate about what you do, it'll do well, but it's not going to necessarily always be easy. And that's one thing that the Boots to Business kind of taught us was that it's not always going to be easy. There are going to be some long days, and you get into it what you put into it.
mhm. Awesome. Okay. Well, Michael, thanks for sharing your entrepreneurial journey with us today. Look forward to your future success and, on down the road here after you guys launch, we'll be seeing more and more of Meal Kid Mail Kit.
I hope so, Joe.
All right.
Thanks for having me on today. Appreciate it.
You bet. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. And these two veterans are Oscar Mike.